this podcast, I always go on and on about British English. Well, of course I do. It's called the BritSpeakPod after all, but there is loads of other kinds of English in this world. You know, we've got Americans and Canadians and New Zealanders and on, but what about Australians? How similar is Aussie English to British English? Well, today we're going to find out. All right, mate, and welcome to the BritSpeakPod, the podcast designed to help you understand British life, British culture, and of course, British English. So let's get cracking. Hey up, mate. How's it going today? Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thanks for asking, and welcome to episode 017, episode 17 of the BritSpeakPod, where we're going to be learning all about Australian English and how similar it is to British English. But before we get into all that good stuff, if you're new around here, my name is Dan. Nice to meet you. Do me a favour, subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. I'd proper appreciate it. And if you're coming back, welcome back. It's nice to see you again. I hope you had a good week. So today, we're talking all about Australian English, Aussie English, what they speak in the land down under. We're going to be learning all about how it works. We're also going to learn a little bit about how it's similar to British English and some rare cases when it's actually pretty different. But obviously, you might be thinking, Dan, you grew up in England. What do you know about Australian English? And you are completely correct. I did grow up in the UK and I don't really know that much about Australian English. So that's why I've enlisted the help of a very special guest who's an Aussie English expert that's going to make sure we're all seen right. So without further ado, let me introduce today's guest. It's Amanda from Aussie English with Amanda. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, Dan. How you going?
Yeah, I'm not three bad. I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. So for those of the podcast audience that haven't heard from you or met you before, please tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. So again, I'm Amanda. I'm Australian born and raised, or Aussie born and raised, but I live in India now. So I've been here for 4 years. I'm an Australian English teacher. So you can find me at Aussie English with Amanda. But yeah, basically I just teach Australian English for people who are either in Australia or wanting to move to Australia. And I teach like slang, accent, culture, that sort of thing.
So you're in India, you said, yeah? So first of all, my first question for you is like, how is life in India?
Yeah, look, I think if any of the listeners out here have moved to a new country, away from their home country where cultures are very different, it is very challenging. But I've been here 4 years now. I feel like I've probably adapted pretty well, but there's still some things that happen where I think, oh my God, like this is so different. I don't know. It's just like, I'm not sure if you're the same. I think your wife's Brazilian, isn't she? She's from another
She's
culture.
Brazilian. Yeah, that's right.
So my husband's Indian. That's why I moved here. And, there's just the miscommunication between us sometimes because of language barriers. It's just, yeah. So, but besides that, look, it is great. It's summer right now, so it is bloody hot. But I'm used to it. It's like the other half of my heart now. It's home.
Yeah, I really, really understand what you're saying. A lot of that stuff, and I'm sure the listeners, if they've spent any time in another culture, they can appreciate, like, there's definitely that adjustment period where you're trying to find your feet and get used to your new surroundings and understand that life doesn't work exactly how the way it used to work back home,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's all part of the adventure, it's all a learning curve. So that's good, though. The next thing I wanted to ask you about is obviously you specialise in Australian English, Aussie English, for want of a better term. And obviously I deal with British English, which is pronounced British, not British. And there's some similarities between our languages, right? Like there's quite a lot of similar stuff. So what would you say are the biggest similarities between British English and Aussie English?
Well, it kind of depends on the accent. And I think it was on your story the other day, you were saying that there's, how many different types of British accents are there?
Oh, bloody loads. At least 40, 50 maybe. There's a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, Australian English has a very loose classification system. There's 3. And you've got the broad accent, which is like really Aussie. They're the people that walk around and are like, g'day, love, how are ya? G'day, mate, how you going? Really Aussie. But then you've got the general accent, which is kind of what I've got, and it's very neutral and in the middle with no regional kind of features.
Sure.
But you've got the cultivated accent, which is so similar to your received pronunciation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like, that's what it's called, isn't it? RP.
Yeah, RP. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I say water. So we have like a T flap, which is kind of similar to your glottal stop. So we don't completely cut out the T, but it's really, really light. But then people who have a cultivated accent would say water, which is kind of like your RP, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Also, we are non-rhotic, so we don't pronounce the R a lot of the time. Yeah. I mean, there are some exceptions.
Of course.
Yeah. So those are probably the main sort of similarities, is that we also do have a kind of glottal stop in some cases, but that non-rhotic nature is definitely the biggest similarity.
Sure. And the non-rhotic thing for people that maybe are not so up on linguistics, can you give us an example of what you mean about this non-rhotic accent?
So I'm going to do a really bad American accent here, but I love using water as an example. So Americans will say water. So there's that rolled R sound, right? We say water, and I'm pretty sure you guys say water.
That's exactly, well, that's 3 perfect different pronunciation of the word water.
This is like, I've been doing it so much. Yeah. So it's that R sound generally at the end of words that we don't say, and it almost has like a AH sound sometimes, sure. Doctor, better, water, farmer. Sure. Yeah, so we don't have that R sound, again, without the exceptions.
Yeah, for everything that we say, there's an exception, But definitely in the UK, we're the same, like it's brother, mother. It's more of a schwa at the end of the word. But
I was going to say that, but didn't want to say schwa and confuse people even more.
Schwa is the sound when we can't be bothered to pronounce a vowel sound correctly,
Yeah, it's the lazy sound.
But good. So I don't want to get too much into linguistics, but there are some big similarities then. Specifically the R sound going missing at the end of words. And, you've got some different accents. Who are some famous people with specific different Australian accents then?
I'm glad you asked, because this is also something I teach. So if we look at the broad Australian accent, the really Aussie one, there was a really famous Australian called Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. So I'm not sure if you've heard of Steve Irwin, but unfortunately he died a number of years ago in the line of work. But basically he used to catch crocodiles. So he would go out into the wild if there was a crocodile that was being a bit cheeky, as he said in an interview I watched the other day. He would basically catch them and then kind of relocate them to an area where there's not many people so that people aren't in danger. But if there was ever a crocodile that was a bit naughty and couldn't be rehabilitated, him and his family actually have a wildlife park in the Sunshine Coast near Brisbane, and the crocodile would go there.
Sure.
And he has a really, really broad accent, speaks with a lot of slang. And yeah, he's really great. He's really great value, actually.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of Steve Irwin back in the day. He used to have maybe a TV show or something he used to have in England that would be on TV.
Crocodile Hunter, probably.
Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter, yeah. Used to watch that a lot and be like, this guy's awesome. This guy's cool.
Yeah, so there's him. Also, have you ever watched the movie Crocodile Dundee?
Of course I have.
It's pretty old now, yeah. So Paul Hogan, another really famous Aussie with that broad accent. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
The famous line. If we think of general Australian accent, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine.
Sure.
So there's him, also Eric Banner. So he was one of the original Hulk characters or actors.
That's right. Yeah.
Cultivated accent, Kate Blanchett.
Good.
So she's more kind of British sounding, I think probably because she is an actress, but she does have that very cultivated accent, and it's really kind of prominent with, I guess, more upper class Australian, but actors, actresses, newsreaders, journalists, that sort of thing.
Same. It's pretty much exactly the same as if you did the same thing within British English. You've got the RP, which is like your Benedict Cumberbatch and your really well-spoken Brits. But then you've got like your more neutral stuff, like your Ed Sheeran, this kind of thing is not like really broad accent. And then you've just got kind of like the weird outliers from like pop culture, or like, like David Bowie, for example, like that guy's got a really weird northern accent, or like Ian McClellan, who's from like the north. Even though he's got like a posh northern accent, he's still got a bit of a northern accent. So
yeah.
You can take the man out of the north, but you can't take the north out of the man, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But cool. So we've talked about some similarities then. Let's flip it on its head. What are some big differences between Aussie English and British English?
Oh, gosh. That's a really great question.
Stumped. So let me break it down a little then. So what about like specific vocabulary? I mean, if we look at British English and American English, there's quite a lot of words that are different between those two things. So which side of the coin does Australia generally fall on? Do they go on the British side, the American side? Are there some that are like, you've got your own thing? Like, what's the situation?
It's a bit of a mix, to be honest. So mostly spelling follows the same rules as British English, because Australia was colonised by the British. So a lot of the...
Elephant in the room.
Oh, yeah. So yes, Australia was colonised by the British. So the language was really developed off that. So spelling really came from that. And then over time, it kind of just shifted into its own language. Because of these different mixes of people from all over the UK in Australia, then the accents kind of just developed over time from this kind of multiculturalism or immigration. Kind of immigration. Yeah, so the spelling is really, really similar. There are only a few words, and I can only think of one, to be honest, where we follow American wording, and that's soccer. You guys call it football.
Yeah, because you've got like 5 different versions of footy, right?
3.
Okay, fair enough.
But yes, we do. We have like rugby union, rugby league, Australian Football League or AFL. And then there's soccer. So I think that's one of only a few where we follow the American wording of things. That's
probably about right, I think. Like, what about, I'm going to throw out some random American vocabulary and you can
sure.
So elevator.
Elevator.
Okay, you stick with that. So for me, it's a lift. We call it a lift.
Oh, yeah. So, well, actually, because I always get really confused now that I'm in India, because what do they call it?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Maybe we do call the lift. Oh, my God. I think, it is lift, but it's elevator here in... Oh, no, it's lift here in India too. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. It's confusing. Yeah. But that's okay. Yeah. What about sidewalk?
Footpath.
Footpath, okay. Pavement for us. Often pavement at the side. But footpath for me is more like walking through a field and it's kind of made a path out of the dirt, right?
Yeah, that's just
a path created by feet, I guess.
Yeah,
is what I would say.
You would just call that a path.
Sure. What about a trash can, as Americans might say?
Oh, rubbish bin.
Yeah, rubbish bin, or just bin sometimes.
Yeah, so rubbish bag or rubbish bin, yeah.
Cool, okay. So in terms of vocabulary, then it's pretty similar. But you guys have got some pronunciation that's quite different to British people, I think. Mm-hmm. There'll be certain words, like the word I'm thinking of, I'm trying not to say it, but I don't have much of a choice, is project.
Oh, project.
Project. You've got this long O in the middle that always throws me off when I speak to Australians.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. So project.
Do you say schedule or schedule?
For me in the north of England, it's schedule.
Yeah, okay. I say schedule as well. Yeah.
But the amount of comments I'll get if I ever say that on Instagram, I'll be like, you said it wrong. Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of fun. But yeah, schedule for me rather than schedule. But Stu Sensei would absolutely disagree with me. But whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to touch on about Australian English that I absolutely love is that you guys just change the end of words for fun. Like arvo and, this kind of stuff. So can you clue us in?
Yeah. So we even... Rona, short for coronavirus.
Corona. We copied that one, Rona. I think, from you guys. Yeah, got the Rona.
Rona. ISO, short for isolation. So look, honestly, we're really lazy. We're lazy speakers, and that's why the schwa sound is really prominent in Australian English, because it helps connect words together.
Sure. Same.
Arvo, a lot of the words are shortened to kind of O or IE. Brekkie, Arvo, Bicky, short for biscuit or cookie.
Yeah, we use that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I like do a word of the day all the time. I can't even think of it. Yeah.
Another thing that I absolutely love about Australian English is the way you guys respond to a question where the answer is either yes or no. Like, I've got a good Australian friend here in Japan. He's tried to explain it to me many times, and I still don't really know what's going on. But if I ask you a question and the answer is going to be yes or no, what usually happens?
I know where you're going with this. So if it's something that we don't want to do, we'll say, yeah, nah.
Yeah, nah. What about if you want to do it?
Nah, yeah.
So you get both answers, and it kind of depends on what order they're coming in, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly right. And because of this, we tend to be seen as a little bit maybe rude or direct. We're a little bit direct in our replies, even though that's a little bit confusing, nah, yeah, or yeah, nah. But we can be very direct in our communication, and we're very straight. We don't like to beat around the bush.
Oh, nice phrase.
This caused a bit of problems with my husband and I at the beginning because I'm not sure you would be probably familiar with the term hot and cold cultures.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so basically what that means for the listeners is that there's different cultures that are like categorized under hot or cold, and it affects their communication style and just the general way of communicating. And I come from one culture, which I can't really remember if it's hot or cold, but my husband's the opposite.
Sure.
So Indians don't like very directness. They will really beat around the bush and be very indirect. So, when we first started talking, we were in a long distance relationship. And if he said to me like, oh, like, do you want to do this or whatever? I'd say, yeah, nah.
Just like straight up.
Yeah. And he would like say to me, why are you being so rude? Like, and I'm like, what? I don't want to. I'm just being honest. Like, I'm being straight. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
It's funny because same thing. Exactly the same thing. I'm British and I am incapable of being direct with people most of the time. I'll never ask you directly for something, but do you think there's any possible way that if it's not any problem for you, like as long as it's fine, is any chance on this earth that you could do this for me? I
noticed that when you sent the message about the podcast. Yeah.
It's the most British thing in the world and I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing then, before we kind of bring this thing home, is what are some of your favorite like Aussie slang words or Aussie phrases that are really, really Aussie? Like, I mean, obviously everybody probably knows things like "G'day, mate," but what are some that you like personally think are amazing? What do you like?
This one is, it might not be like that great for anyone else, but it's one that I didn't realize. And it's kind of like has like a special meaning for me just because, again, with my husband and communicating, he had no idea what I meant. And it's as simple as how you going?
Good one.
It just means how are you? But a lot of people, and I didn't realize this was Australian slang until we talked on the phone for the first time and I picked up the phone. I was like, hey, how you going? And he was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm at home. I was like, oh, this is Australian slang for how are you? Yeah, so that's probably like one of my favorites just because, it has that personal touch, but also bloody oath. I'm not sure if you have bloody oath in the UK.
Not so much bloody oath, but the use of the word bloody is quite, well, it's a little kind of memey now. It's like a little old fashioned, like, I imagine like my grandma being like, oh, bloody hell, like that typical British thing. But sometimes we use it, oh, it's bloody hot today, But I think you guys kind of adopted that one and like, that's now Aussie, I think, just as much as it is British English, yeah.
Yeah, so bloody oath just means like absolutely. Like I did this one reel ages or a few months ago when I started my page and it's like my husband featured in a few of my reels and yeah, he's like, oh, you ready to go to gym? I was like, oh, bloody oath I am. And he was like, what? Yeah, so there's bloody oath. Also, she'll be right.
She'll be right for us, yeah.
She'll be right just means like, it's okay, everything will be fine. Yeah, so it doesn't matter if like, it's a male or a female or whatever it is, she'll be right. It'll be fine. Yeah,
exactly. For me, it gets shortened even further to be right. in the north. So right becomes rate and berate. It'll berate, she'll berate, you know, that kind of thing. So that's proper fun. I enjoy that. Like, I'm a big fan of more casual English, to be honest, like slang and these weird expressions that we actually use in real life. Because, you know, like the first time you spoke on the phone and you use this Aussie slang and like, what? What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like, because people are so used to learning from the textbooks, but then they actually speak to the natives and it's like, oh, mate, this is proper different. Like, this is not the same thing. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of learning these little things. I quite enjoy it. So, nice. And the last question I've got for you then is, how can people learn more, about you and what you do and Australian English in general? Like, what's the next step for people that are listening?
Yes. So as I said earlier in my introduction, I've got my Instagram page. Actually, all of my social accounts are, they match. So they're all the same. So I've got Instagram, Facebook, Aussie English with Amanda. As for learning Australian English, well, I do one-on-one classes. I basically personalize lesson plans. I have students who work in a specific field in Australia and I personalize like business English plans based on their work and things like that.
That's awesome. Like, I'm sure people who are wanting to move to Australia or live in Australia already, or just have a general interest in different varieties of English, hopefully they'll come check you out and you'll see them right. Yeah, you'll see them right.
Yes, exactly.
Lovely stuff. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for coming on today. Proper enjoyed it. Thanks for your time and have a good one.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Well, weren't that just bloody lovely? It was so nice to have Amanda come on and share her knowledge about Australian English with us. So make sure that you go and you check out Amanda on her Instagram and her YouTube and all that good stuff, because she's a bloody good teacher and it's a good thing to try and immerse yourself in all different kinds of English. So that way you're never confused when you meet a new person, even if they are from Australia. So thank you once again for Amanda for coming on. And if you haven't already, I want to ask you guys to go and subscribe to the BritSpeakPod. And that you can do that on britspeak.co/BritSpeakPod. And that's it for this episode. And I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!